My name is Reef.
My name is Luke.
And today we're going to change the fork tubes on my 98 Wide Glide from a standard 24 inch to a 28 inch.
Yes.
So purchase wise, the only thing you need for this job is new stanchions, so fork tubes, which will be the 28 inch, so 4 inch over 28 inch fork tubes, first thing. Second thing is a kit, what is it called?
Rebuild kit.
A rebuild kit for that particular width, so 41 millimeter fork tubes. So the third thing is the fork oil, and that is 15, what is it? I'm getting the heavy duty 15W
That
fork oil. And you need a litre. About 330 mils in each fork tube, so about a litre all up.
Yeah.
Since this bike was made 26 years ago, we don't think the forks have been touched.
No.
So Luke's the man here, and he said that we probably should get this at least off before the parts arrive to know how big the job's going to be, and then tomorrow hopefully the parts arrive.
Yep.
And we've got a day to get it on the road before we
get ready to go.
fuck off on a 5-hour ride.
Yeah, pretty much. 5 hours? Nah mate, my petrol tank does about 50 miles to the gallon, so it's going to take more like 8 hours. I ain't got a massive tank like you.
8 hours.
Right, so first thing we do is we put it up on block so we can get the wheel free. Then we took the fender off. And what we'll do now is we'll pop the axle out. We'll break these nuts, which is the clamp nuts for the axle. Push the axle out, take the wheel out, which will give us room to slide the forks out.
Yeah.
We'll break these top nuts, and then we'll break the bottom yokes. Right, and then the whole unit here will just slide straight out. And as we take it out, because we're extending these stanchions, we'll rebuild from the inside, new seals, new fork oil, and we'll put your springs back in, which will then extend the ride height by 6 inches.
4 inches.
4 inches. 4 inches.
Don't get excited, mate.
Sorry man, I did get excited, didn't I? So because all of this is in, it's easier than putting it in a clamp in a vise, because there's a possibility you could damage the stanchions. So because the clamps is already in, we'll use that to our advantage, and then we'll give it a slight tap and it'll loosen these off. So when we take them off, we just gotta do it by hand. Like that. So those are loose now. And then we'll undo these axle pinch bolts here, and then we'll slide the axle out and drop the wheel down. So the size of the pinch bolt nuts are half inch because it's Harley, and then we just break them loose. We don't necessarily have to loosen them too much because we don't want the whole axle falling at the bottom. So see how this is moving now? It's off the tension of that, and then we'll just push the axle through or tap the axle through, and then we'll just pull it out. And then all we do is we just slightly tap the axle gently. I like to use a soft head hammer, because if you use a metal head hammer you could damage the threads. So just take the weight of the wheel, and then axle's out. These are your spacers. I always like to keep my spacers in order, so I know that the axle will come out from the right hand side of the bike, and this is the right hand spacer, so I'll slide that on so that I know that this one goes on this side, and then there's another one on this side as well, and I don't want to lose it, so I'll take it out, clean them up, and then we know that that's this side.
Easy.
And then what I also do is get the nuts washers, feed them on, so it's normally a flat washer and then your spring washer, and then your nut just goes on top, and then all of the components for the front axle is on one, and then we just lift the front wheel out, and we're done. And have a quick drink. These are the pinch bolts for the actual forks. So these clamps will pinch the forks there and there. So we'll take those out.
I have a feeling these ones would be tough.
See if I can send some shock through it. Sometimes if I can't get the nut out when I'm on loosen, if you tighten it just a little bit, it'll break the thread if there's any shit in there, like corrosion. And then as soon as you get that click, you better unwind it, which is what I just did, because you see on there there's a lot of corrosion. See the white stuff on there?
Yeah.
That stuff will thread it, it will bung up the threads. So we'll clean those before we put a bit of penetration fluid on it. So the next bit we'll do is we'll take the brake caliper off, and then we'll just prop it up on the foot control there. with bolts like these as well. I'll put the bolts back in the actual brake caliper when we've taken it off. But some people put copper grease on these, which is a good idea. But when you take them out, take the copper grease off, clean it up, and put new copper grease in there, because it's exposed to the elements, and a lot of road dirt, gravel, sand will always find its way into a thread, and if it gets stuck, you're in a bit of a world of hate there. But so these should just pull out. Go, starting to work their way down here. Now I don't know if these are threaded or if they're just pull, but what I'm going to do is I'll use, there you go, see how they're threaded? That's your O-ring, and that's your spring, your suspension progression spring on the inside. But you see this here, this is just wear, but this will eventually cause pitting in the stanchion. So it's always a good idea to, if you clean the bike, I always break mine, pull them down, give them a polish up, put them back in. You can put some sort of treatment on it if you really want to, but I always, if I'm taking them out or cleaning them, I'll just clean around everything. See the orange rust in it? So then these, which is the top of your forks, which obviously go into the top yokes, just wiggle them out. Top of the forks, so we'll put this here, so we know that's our order. We won't get any bits missing then. Fingers crossed. So, do you see how these have got two grooves in it? These rubber notches here will line up with the grooves in here. So you can see that's got a notch there and a notch there. Make sure they line up when you put it back together, otherwise you'll squash the rubbers. Alright, so because the rutting and pitting was so bad on this, it needed a bit of persuasion to come out, because it was like locked in. So again, people do this differently, but I always get a socket roughly the same size as it, but because I want to smash the top of the chrome off, I'll always buffer it with something, and then just give it a slight tap, and you can hear it. But yeah, so we didn't damage anything, still got good chrome, no cracks, so we know that that's done. So now we're going to move on to the forks.
Okay, hold on, go again.
Alright, so inevitably you're going to make a mess out of this because it's just a messy job. So what I'll do is I'll lay a sheet down on the floor, and then I'll start taking things apart, and I'll lay them down on the sheet. Oil dripping everywhere, that's why I use the sheet. So I know that's the top, and then I need to pour all the fork oil away. So get a container and a funnel, and then the fork oil will just pour out. Sounds like my ass when I have curry. My God. And now give it a few pumps, and it'll just push all the oil out. We're now going to take the dust covers off. These are prone to perish over time, but these ones seem to be alright. Oh, we got a small crack, but... So at the back, at the bottom of these, there's these Allen key bolts with a copper washer on them, and these connect to the bottom of the stanchions. So you won't be able to get the stanchion out unless you take these out. So these are just very, very small, little tricky things to get out. But this one's covered in dirt. So I'm just using the vise to clamp onto the fender mounts. The reason for it is because I need to get these retaining clips out for the seals. But another top tip is always get yourself a drip tray, because it will start dripping out of the bottom of the bolt. So we need to take the retaining clips out now. Yeah, so these then pop like that. And then just get your finger underneath it, pop it out all the way. And you'll get a new set of these with your rebuild kit. Okay. So now we'll do a bit of slide hammering, and we'll try not to make too much of a mess. Again, I always leave it with the drip tray. Good thing about this vise has also got pipe jewels in it, so I use a cloth to don't want to damage these, but these got soft jewels on them anyway. So, and then what we'll do, we'll slide the stanchion and pull the seals out, which is always a fun job. So these are the inside pieces, and that's your bump stop. So these will go right down the bottom, and your copper washer Allen bolt screws into the bottom of there, and that's what goes that way. and these are your bump stops. So if you bottom out, you won't damage your forks. And then we'll wipe them down because there's some shit on those. So you can see the seal coming out. So what I'm doing is I'm using the force, like a slide hammer, to pull it out. And then that there is your seals. And that's your bump washer. And then this just slides out. Again, you'll get a new set of these in your kit. So we know that they go there. So we got spring, dust cover, retaining clip, seal, bottom end of the spring. And then your stanchions, which is what we'll be changing, will be these. So we know that the next in line is going to be the washer. So we'll put the washer in. So basically how it works is that this will be taken out. That's your retaining pin at the bottom, which goes in the bottom of the fork leg. But this is what goes in there, like that. And then the bottom will stick out of here. And then what we do is we know that that goes there. And then these bits is what we're changing for your 4-inch extensions. So it's the next day. This is Mike, he's my business partner from the Bristol Bobberers. We make custom builds. So yes, we put one original fork back together. The stanchions had arrived. They are 4 inches longer. This is one of the originals and that is the new one. So we are going to show you how to put it all back together. The one thing that you need to know when you buy the new stanchions that are longer, the kit does not come with the spacers that you need because the spring inside will be too short. So I had to quickly whip home and I found this piece of metal in a skip.
Well spotted. That's exactly what we need.
It's probably about 1 million years old. So went back, machined it on the lathe, and we're ready to insert it in top of the forks.
Right, so now that we've got these, we're going to walk you through putting the forks back together with our new 4-over spacer that we've made.
Remove the bush from the old fork or the original stout fork stanchion, clip that back on, sits inside the little groove there, spins freely. Your bush collar on top, and that slides down and sits there. And then this is what your new seals will sit on, and this goes on like that.
Okay, so now that the 3 other things have arrived today, one of those things is the rebuild kit. So don't try and use the old seals, get a rebuild kit, put the new stuff on there. There's absolutely no point using the old stuff. It's also a good opportunity to check your bushes, and if they are worn, change them. You know, they're fairly inexpensive. These ones are okay, so we're just going to put them straight back in. We've also got the oil, so you know we'll be putting that in later on. And for this particular bike, it's 330 mils on a dry fork, so you want to check, is it wet or is it dry? This is dry because we've emptied the fork out, and we're going to be putting, you know, a whole load of new oil in there rather than topping it up.
Now we're going to put our bottoming out spring inside of the stanchion. So that slides in straight down the bottom, and then it will shoot at the bottom like that. And then we get our aluminium bushing. This sits on the end like a little collar, like that. And then all of this goes into the bottom leg, carefully. Push the stanchion all the way down. And here's a little tip that I do, because the tools for these are stupidly expensive. Get your £5 broom, put it up against something solid, slide the stanchion over the top, feed it all the way down, and then Mike has got the fixing pin at the bottom. There is a copper washer on the bottom of that pin to stop the oil from seeping out the bottom. The old ones are no good because once they crush, they're dead. So always replace the bottom ones with the new ones that come in the kit. And then that pin, that washer, sorry, goes on there, just like that. And then Allen key. And then this goes in the end of this fork. And then that bottom them out bush will screw into that, but if you don't have the broom handle inside of it, it will just spin all the time and you'll never get a bite and it will take forever. With these, don't go too crazy. There probably is a torque setting for it, but I don't really care. As long as it's tight. As long as it's tight, it fucking works. And then slide the fork stanchion off of the broomstick. And then we need to now put our new seals on.
Okay, so with your old seals, don't chuck them away just yet, because we can use these to protect the new seal. So when you put the new seal on, if you've got any sharp bits up here, sometimes it's good to tape this up and then slide this over, and make sure you put it on the right way. So there's two ways that this can obviously go on, the right way and the wrong way. This goes on this way with the spring on the top and the open end on the bottom. So yeah, because this is brand new, get some of the fork oil just to lube it up a little bit, rub it all around the rim, and then pop it over the top, slide it down, and then we'll use our old seals to press this bad boy in, which Luke's going to do.
Great. There's your old one. Slide that back over. You can use one or two, but two is probably better. And then get your makeshift seal driver. This is out of a piece of 75mm, I think it's shit pipe. And then this is actually this is a fork cover off of an XBS 650 that just works really well. But all you're doing is you're putting this on top to make sure this ain't sharp, because you do not want to smash your seals up already. So that fits over there nicely. Drop it down and then just constantly whack it until the noise changes there. And Mike's going to quickly check to make sure that it's seated. There's one.
So this one you might just have to pull out, but this is our old seal and we haven't got to worry about damaging it. Mate, this is in there.
No, he's going.
So when you're doing this, just do not nick the metal. You don't want to cause any sharp edges. Just gently wiggle it out and hopefully that'll just come off.
Once you've driven your seals in, you need to put the retaining clip back in. Easiest way, clip one side in, work your way around, and then just press it in with a little screwdriver. Then, ready? There you go, that's in. And then that's what it'll look like at the end. And then after this, we're gonna go straight to the dust covers. That clips. They'll go on like that. Right, fork oil. Pour that straight in.
So when you do this, you want to make sure the fork stanchion is fully extended and the lower fork is up as low as it can be. So now Luke's just making sure it all filters through the holes, and you've got to do this very slowly. So if you do it too quickly, it'll make like a bit of a wet fart noise, and that's no good because it's drawing the air in. It just means that, you know,
you're just going to spurt your load everywhere.
It'll take longer to sort of settle. So you could just, some people leave them overnight, or you could just do this maybe 5-10 times nice and slowly.
Sounds like one of those old toys when you were a kid.
Right, so the oil's in. Now we're going to put the spring back in, or you could put the spring in first and then put the oil in. That's what I normally do, but in this instance we're doing it this way. And then we're going to put our new machined piece in the top there. That is our 4/0 spacer. So these forks don't come with those, so we have to make that.
Okay, so this is the top cap that fits inside there. So what you need to do is you need to push this down inside like this. It's always good to have a two-man on this, really, if you can, because I need to push this down and turn at the same time. So Mike's going to give us a hand. I'm going to push it down and then Mike's going to turn it. Okay, push and turn.
So if you're on your own, you can put a tea towel over the top. It's not so harsh on your hand. But if there's two of you, it's much easier.
And we just use a adjustable or a 20mm spanner, and then you just want to turn that until it gets tight. So the tight is there, and then a little bit more.
So yeah, all the bikes are different. You'll find your torque specs in your field service manual.
Fuck the torques.
Talk everything down to the specification, because, like, you know, it's there for a reason.
Nah, fuck it.
So now we're putting the newly built forks in the bike. Obviously we're going to have a bit of extra length here, so when Luke puts these in, he's going to put them up a bit higher so we've got clearance to put the wheel in, and then we'll slide them back down when the bike is off the stand.
Right, now we're going to reinstall the forks. We've already done one, so we're going to do another. Basically, it's really easy. stick your shaft in the hole.
Shove it right up there.
So just keep pushing it and give it a good wiggle while you're doing it. And she's in. And then you get your top nut here, has a rubber grommet on it. Replace this grommet, it comes in the kit. This goes in there.
Sweet.
Tighten that bad boy down. Again, there probably should be some type of torque setting for this, but it'll be in your Haynes Book of Lies. This is your pinch bolt for your bottom yoke. Don't forget to put this back in. It goes in there. Make sure your threads are clean. Straight in. We will actually check the torque settings when we've done all this.
It's different on all different bikes though, isn't it?
Yeah, we will do it properly.
Yeah, aren't you guys bike builders?
Yeah, just for the sake of this video, well, someone said we were. Just for the sake of this video, we're just gonna just show you how to put it all in, but make sure you do your torque settings, and your torque settings everywhere else.
When you take these bolts out, get them on a wire brush, give them a clean, get any sort of, you know, clouds of rust out of there. That is a good thing to do.